It's away by Marcel. Kelly looking for the run of Sestanovic, who gets away from Stewart. It's Ashley Sestanovic. Can he go all the way? And blocked by the legs of Flahaven. Well, they weren't going to catch him once the big man got free of Jamie Stewart. He got his shot on target. Jupp will leave the free kick for Gower. And once again, the big men are in there for Southend. Header right into the danger area there. Oh, and hooked over by Bramble. What a chance for Tess Bramble. When the ball was headed on here, Bramble turned and must have thought he was a certain scorer. It's a great chance. Hottie. This is Cryan. Sestanovic. Now Kerr. Kelly's made a really good run forward here. The Scarborough skipper, and Quayle scores! And is that the goal that will take Scarborough to a home tie against mighty Chelsea in round 4? Mark Quayle, a serial goal scorer in non-league football in recent years, profiting from the brilliant run and cross from the captain Jimmy Kelly. An unbridled joy all around the McCain Stadium as Scarborough take the lead. Referees had a couple of looks at the watch, and they just need to hold it now in the Southend half, and they'll be there. No great hurry, Marcel to take the throw. And it's all over. Scarborough will play Chelsea in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Russell Slade. What a moment for the Scarborough manager. And what a moment for the man whose goal has taken Scarborough there, Mark Quayle. And they know that Chelsea will be coming to the McCain Stadium in the 4th round, where Scarborough sit for the first time in their 125-year history. It's doom and gloom for the travelling Southend faithful. They know their dream tie is not going to be. But for Mark Quayle and Scarborough and their delighted manager Russ Slade, it's Premiership Chelsea next.
Historic night for Scarborough, and their manager's feet have barely touched the ground since. Are you still on cloud 9, Russell?
It's just about sinking in, Marcus, really. It was a tremendous night for all of us. The players, the staff, the club, the town, everybody got behind us, and it was a terrific night.
It was a cup tie that appeared to have all the classic elements as well, didn't it?
It was a cold evening, there was a bite in the air, it was typical cup weather really, firm pitch, but it was a great evening, and it wasn't a classic cup tie in the first period, but in the second half we just about deserved it.
And Brian, I'm sure you can relate to how he's feeling, and you've been in similar situations to the Southend camp in years gone by as well, haven't you?
Yeah, almost. I mean, I've had some tricky ties. I mean, only a few weeks back, we went over to Hornchurch and played them. We were very, very fortunate to get through. So they're tough games, and there isn't a great deal now between conference and league football, and Russell will bear that out. And you can see how conference clubs do when they get promoted in the league. They can hold their own. So those sort of ties for third division clubs going away from home especially are unbelievably difficult.
Mark Quayle left it late with the goal, but as the only player to have cost a fee in your side, he owed you something anyway, didn't he?
He certainly did. We couldn't afford the £3,000 that Nuneaton put on his head, but we eventually came up with £2,000, and he paid just a little slice of that back last night. There he goes, look, sliding in. He was working with the gaffer, he was, midweek on shooting.
Well, he couldn't really miss that, to be fair. At that stage of the contest, were you setting your mind towards extra time?
Absolutely, I was thinking of my 5 penalty takers. Of course, Quayle would have been one of them. But yeah, we thought it was going to go into extra time. The game was tight all evening, even though we were starting to create the better chances in the second period.
Might have been a different story had Lee Walker, the home goalkeeper, not pulled off a magnificent save in the second half to deny Neil Jenkins. Did you know he was capable of that sort of thing?
Yeah, he's been in great form of recent. He's only a young keeper. He's been at Sheffield United, Barnsley. He's got Jim Montgomery doing the goalkeeping, and there you see that's a great save. So Jim's obviously earning his money for me. He comes in 2 days a week. Yeah,
well, it's funny you mentioned Jim Montgomery. As soon as we saw that save, it took us back to the 1973 FA Cup final between Leeds and Sunderland. Who was in the Sunderland goal but Jim Montgomery? And he pulls off a very similar save to that of Lee Walker's last night, doesn't he? So he's clearly been passing on his tips to him.
It's a great save, yeah. He's lived off that one though, Monty.
A few years ago. Now, you were there that day, weren't you, Brian?
I was, yes, as a young footballer. I was down in the London area with the Villa team. We were about to go on tour the day after, and we watched that game pre our trip. Always remembered, being a northern lad, of course, it was a great result for a local team.
Well, with a cup winner in your side, what sort of advice and suggestions has Jim Montgomery been coming up with since the victory last night?
Well, I've got 3 keepers at the club. It's a luxury, really, and Jim works with them constantly. And he does a great job with them, gives them lots of little tips and advice. They're always having a laugh and a joke as well, so he's telling them a few stories. So they're nice and relaxed, but he works them very hard, and Lee certainly benefited from it because he wasn't the first choice at the start of the season. It was, in fact, Adam Solid, so he's taken over and he's not lost his shirt.
Typical FA Cup story. Some interesting tricks in the Scarborough side as well, particularly when it comes to your short corner routines. Been working hard on this one?
Yeah, we're not the biggest side in the world, so we thought we needed to work on 1 or 2 short corners, and this is just one of them, where we just touched the ball, and you'll see Stanovic going over and taking it off Kelly. They weren't aware of that, and really I'm disappointed with his cross, having seen that again.
Who came up with the idea in the first place? Are you taking the credit for that?
Yeah, and Nicky Henry, my coach. Nicky works on that, and we drilled up about 5 different short corners, and that was one of them.
You ever seen anything like that, Brian?
No, and to be honest with you, I can imagine a lot of players going completely to sleep, and even as the second players collected the ball, Russell, you can imagine them standing saying, what on earth's going on here? So I think it's one to look at, and I think it's one that 1 or 2 people will look at very closely, because, as I've said, there's it's a tricky one, to be sure. I don't know who's thought that one up, but it's very clever.
Well, presumably there were a few Chelsea spies there last night who will be reporting back to a bemused Claudio Ranieri now.
I would think that would be first on the list, the clever short corner that we provide at the McCain Stadium. Yeah, so there'll be a few more surprises, hopefully, when they come up.
And describe what was going through your mind when the final whistle finally went and you knew that for the first time in the history of the club, Scarborough were in the 4th round of the FA Cup.
Well, relief, really. Couldn't believe it. Though I did say to the chairman the day before, I just fancied myself to pull out 1 more rabbit, and actually did it. So it was a great night, relief. Pleased for this little crew that have worked exceptionally hard. We don't get paid a lot of money, but the desire was there, the commitment was there on the evening, and they deserve their little bit of success.
Has the town already gone cup mad?
Yes, it has, yeah. My phone's not stopped ringing, and everybody wants a ticket for the Chelsea game, of course.
Well, you are still on course to become the first English manager since 1996 to win a major honour. Would you happen to know who that Englishman was back in 96?
No, can you help me, Brian?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Yes, which is a little known fact. I've got to say, I wasn't aware of this. Aston Villa beating Leeds in the 96 League Cup final, Milosevic with one of the goals.
Yeah, the week after that we played in the semi-final of the FA Cup as well and lost to Liverpool, so that was a great season for us. But yeah, Sabo started it off. I mean, to be honest, you go to cup finals, being fortunate to be at 1 or 2, but to win 3-0 is an absolute dream, isn't it, really? And Sabo started that off for
It's
us.
An incredible stat. I mean, so many Frenchmen and Scottish managers, Republic of Ireland managers, you name it, but no English manager to win the FA Cup or indeed the League Cup since 96. It's behoving on one of you two to put that right this year, isn't it?
Well, our cup final will be Chelsea, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
You never know, there could be something beyond that. Well, Brian still has dreams of the FA Cup as well after Tranmere's replay victory against Bolton Wanderers at the Reebok on Tuesday night. What sort of a game was this one, Brian?
Well, it was a great game from our point of view, and in all fairness, we bossed both games. We were the better side in both games, but we felt after drawing at home that perhaps our best chance had gone. But we performed really well again. scored a goal late in the game, 80-odd minutes, and then just as everybody thinks we've won, and so many people have said to me they were just about to put the finger on the text message send button to me to say well done, and this happened, and then they all went to bed worrying about me. They all said, all my friends, but you know, that equaliser right on full time was at a point when what I had to say to the players here was not to lose the game in open play. They were very down at that point, you know, and really I had to convince them that penalties was a great option, and it would have been a major disappointment had we lost in open play. But we kicked off. Ian Hume, who's a real lively little character, picked the ball up and decided to go on one of his little runs. He does shoot from this area all the time. He's rifled it in.
Fabulous goal.
And quite honestly, you know, we knew then that it was going to be our time. We just felt that it was right for us. We really felt we deserved it.
Does he do that sort of thing in training every week?
He does, and I'm not kidding saying that. He does shoot. He's very quick, very lively. He's a full international now, and you know, he's got a chance of going higher. Whilst he's with us, and I'm sure it'll be for a little while yet, we'll give him every chance of improving. Well,
there were some rather curious comments from the Bolton manager Sam Allardyce after the game. Basically, he said he was glad to have lost.
If I had won this tie, I would have been faced with playing Luton away between Aston Villa at home in the semi-final and Aston Villa away in the semi-final. So Aston Villa being knocked out by Manchester United would, I think, would have put me at a big disadvantage. So priorities lying the way they are, the way you have to rule with your head and not with your heart, then it's probably a better thing without the competition.
So much for the magic of the FA Cup. Did that rather take the gloss off your achievement?
No, not at all. I think what Sam said there is priorities as they are at present. The fact that he's in a semi-final in a week's time has took over his priorities for this season. The fact that the priority for the Premiership clubs will always be the Premiership now because of the amount of money that is involved in it is there. But we looked at their team, and every one of their team would see themselves as a Premiership player. And we kept saying that to our players. They're Premiership players. Give them the respect that they deserve, but really show them what you can do as football players. And, you know, they've got young players on their side. We've had 3 or 4 young players in our team who we believe might well one day be Premiership players. So it was a great experience for them. And irrespective of what team played, we took it very seriously. And I'm sure Sam's lads themselves were very much of the same
Well, it was
thought.
an FA Cup time. More than 9,000 turned up. OK, not a big crowd by Bolton standards, but the home supporters went there in good faith, expecting their team to attempt to get into the fourth round.
And when the equaliser went in, you could see what it meant to the home players and to the fans. I can understand what Sam's saying there, and he has said that the other tie has took over his president this season. But, you know, it might not be in the same boat next season. He might not be in the semi-final of a major competition. He might not be the next English manager to win a major trophy. and good luck to him because, you know, he's seen as what is right for his club, and he's made a very difficult decision not to play his first-team players because of the games coming up. I accept that, understand that, but quite honestly, it did give us a better chance in this particular round.
Have either of you ever been glad to lose a game for whatever reason, Russell?
No, not really. And I think players, when they walk onto a pitch, I think they go out there to win a football match every time, bar none, to be honest. So, yeah, I think these players might be a little bit more disappointed than perhaps he is himself.
Well, Brian, it's worked to your advantage, and in the fourth round you will now play Luton, who won by 2-1 at Bradford. What dangers in particular are you anticipating in that encounter? Adrian Forbes scored both their goals in this game, by the way.
Yeah, well, I think there are good things for us to look at as a group of people, because I think it was only about a week or 10 days before I joined Tranmere that the club went down there and lost in a league game which was live on Sky Television. So there's lots of things that we can look at. Obviously we can go through that video, we'll analyse them on that particular day, how they played against us as a team, and we'll try and put something together which will give us some form of benchmark as to whether we've progressed, and I'm sure we have progressed. But it's a great tie for both clubs because, you know, there is an opportunity once again for a second division club most definitely to be in the next round, and both sides will feel they've got an opportunity to do that.
OK, thank you for the moment. Well, after the break, we'll turn our attention to Scarborough's opponents in round 4. Having seen off Southend, we will discover how they intend to give Chelsea the blues.
Here's Babayaro. Joe Cole. Lampard. He's going to have a pop. What a strike and what a save from Pidgley. Oh, but it's put in anyway by Mutu, except the flag is up and it's not going to count. Alan Wiley, who was in charge of the first game, is going to have a chat with the linesman here. It diverted off a Watford player, I think is the point they might be making. So Mutu's goal stands, and Chelsea have an early lead. Well, there was controversy in the first leg when it went in Watford's favour. Neil Ardley gave it to Mutu, and the linesman has been overruled by Wiley. And fair enough. And Chelsea are 1 up. Gale sending it out towards Devlin, who did well to help that through towards Dyer. And Jimmy Han trying to take over. Oh, he's so unlucky. He's hit the post. And Watford so close to an equaliser. Makelele. Gallas. Looking here for Hasselbank. Lovely flighted ball. And a pretty decent finish too. Chelsea are well on their way now. Look at the quality of that. Exquisite. And then look at this. Excellently executed by Hasselbank. And there is a long way back for Watford now in this cup replay. 2-0. Round 4 beckoning for the big boys. Hasselbank takes. Ronkiar tried to have a go. Here's Makelele. Might open up for him. Oh, and he fires wide. He's determined to get a goal, which have been rather rare in his career. Makelele way off target earlier in the game, but a bit closer that time. It's helped on by Hasselbank to Gronkiar. And Gronkiar eventually got his cross in, and Joe Cole has blazed it wide. Could have been number 3 for Chelsea, and perhaps should have been. Joe Cole waiting. Snatched it. Here's Gavin Mahon. Devlin have been calling for it for a while. He has it now. And it might come to Lee Cook. It does. Bruce Dyer and John Terry trying to dig it out. Here's Gavin Mahon. Well, how Watford needed something to come of that, as they try to find a way back into this game. There was certainly a flurry of activity in and around the box. Gavin Mahon unable to find the bottom corner. Quarter of an hour to go at Stamford Bridge. Joe Cole looking for Mutu, finding him, and that's special. That's Adrian Mutu. He's scoring again after quite a barren spell. It's been quite a week for the Romanian international. Timed his run perfectly. Cole picked him out, still had a bit to do. Did it. Mutu scores his second and Chelsea's third, and they are home and dry now. Melchior kept it in. Gronkiar challenging Smith. Here's Marcus Gale. Lampard. Gronkiar. On by Cole. Here goes Duff, and he's got good Johnson free. This could be 4. Oh! And how? There have been some fantastic finishes tonight. Ida Gudjonsson gets in on the act. It was always going to come through to Gudjonsson, and maybe it was always going to finish there. It's been a masterclass in finishing tonight from Chelsea. That's superb. No giant killing at Stamford Bridge tonight. Claudio Ranieri's Chelsea progressed to round 4 with considerable ease. Some high quality finishing ensured that Watford never really got much of a sniff of glory. It's the Blues who march on. Blue is the colour, Chelsea are the team in the next round.
What do you know of Scarborough?
No, not too much. Not too much. It's a nice place. Not now. There is a good beach, but now it's only for the English players, not for me.
And perhaps he'll take Mrs. Ranieri there in the summer. It was a quality performance. A Hawthorn was at Molineux.
All given away by Hatswell. Here's Kenny Miller. Lost his footing but recovers, and well stopped. The shot directly at Brock in the end, but Miller did well here because in the build-up he completely lost his footing. It was given away to him in the first instance and he almost made the most of it. Radek's header goes astray and Henriksen here could put Christensen through. It's not been cleared, only to Ward! And how Graham Ward would love a goal on his return to Molineux, the player released by Wolves in the summer, and how he very nearly made them pay then. Smith, merest of pushes in the back on Kennedy. There's header, Miller's across there and scores! Kenny Miller for Wolves. Two headers that Kidderminster were unable to cut out. Miller's the decisive one. Danny Williams free kick. Met by Kennedy. This is Smith. Hopeful one from Hinton. Parrish looks to get there and Henriksen steers it round and wide. Just couldn't hook it round the goalkeeper. It was a difficult one for him. Miller. Oh, it's skimmed off ahead and it's off the line from Hinton. But the goal's given. It's another one that's judged to have crossed the line. It was Miller who scooped it across. It came off ahead of the inside of the post and it was cleared by Hinton.
So Wolves sidestep potential embarrassment with a little help from the officials, it has to be said. As a former Wolves man, Brian, you'll appreciate their relief at overcoming that particular obstacle, won't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think, and it all sums up how pressure gets to players. I mean, you know, this time last year, Wolves in the First Division, I reckon, would have walked through that particular game. You know, they're winning games on a regular basis. The players are more confident. This season, they've been knocked back a little bit. They're not winning games. Confidence is low. And it just shows that, you know, even though they're a Premiership club now, 12 months on, they're finding it more difficult even to beat teams like Kidderminster because of this difficulty in not being able to do well in the respective league.
Yeah, Kiddy in the lower reaches of the Third Division, one up with just a few minutes to go in the first game, perhaps highlighting...
Cresswell didn't appear to be well placed when he went for goal, but his shot was certainly well placed. 1-0 to the visitors on 28 minutes. Reading gifted Preston a second goal early in the second half. Skipper A.D. Williams and keeper Marcus Hanneman got in a terrible tangle. South African striker George Kumantarakis was handed his first goal of the season. Sean Gota scored in the first meeting. And he did so again 6 minutes from the end. 7 for him now. But it was Preston, unbeaten in 9 games, who went through to a 4th round tie at Swansea City.
Things going very well for Preston at the moment, and a welcome victory for Wimbledon, winners of the FA Cup back in 1988, of course. We all know about their financial problems. 150,000 or so from a game against Birmingham in the 4th round will go down very nicely, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we understand how crucial it is to bring money into the football club. And if you don't progress, for many clubs now, it's a mini disaster. The revenue for us will be fantastic. It will give us stability, maybe for the next 2 seasons.
What are your priorities, actually, with the money?
Well, to give us stability, all we've ever done is pay creditors and just try to keep the club running. Our chairman, Malcolm Reynolds...
So it's simply a matter of paying off the debt and not actually looking to build from a windfall?
Well, I think you need to do that first. I think you need to give the club stability first, so we're not having to pay out every week, and that's all our chairman, Malcolm Reynolds, has ever done.
Hawthorne